Have you ever been obsessed with someone, either that you barely knew or someone who was at some sort of distance? You knew them, but not as well as somebody that you were dating on a regular basis. You were in a situationship, or you knew them at work, or you just would see them at the coffee shop. But you found yourself thinking about them all the time, imagining what life would be like if you were actually in a committed relationship and your mood depended on their attention. If they said hi, if they sent you a text, you'd feel on top of the world. If you hadn't heard from them in a couple of days, you'd feel despondent, bereft, wondering what was going to happen. And no matter how hard you tried, you couldn't snap yourself out of it. Friends would tell you to let it go, your therapist would tell you the same thing, and you couldn't. You'd never felt this way about anybody else, even people that you were in committed relationships with. What if I told you this was a person addiction, where this one person created a response in you that made you hyper-focus on them? This is limerence. And today we're diving into why limerence is similar to an addiction and how to break free. Okay, so what is limerence? Well, limerence is a term coined by Dorothy Tynov, a psychologist in the 70s. And it describes an altered state of mind featuring an intense romantic infatuation with another person. People dealing with this describe an incredible emotional roller coaster that happens, where they feel incredible highs when they're around this person, or they get positive feedback from them, where they think that maybe something's going to move forward, and then they become despondent and depressed when they don't hear from them, or the other person seems to be less interested. It's not love, and it's much different than a crush. Okay, so how does limerence become a person addiction? First of all, there's the highs, feeling blissed out and excited when you're around your limerent other, when you get a message from them. And then the crushing lows, feelings of anxiety, jitteriness, when you're not in contact with them, when they sort of disappear. And that jitteriness, that depression, that goes away once they're texting you again, once they seem like they're more likely to be in a long-term relationship with you. People report deep cravings of their limerent other, wanting their attention so badly so they can feel soothed. And from just that person, not just going out and meeting someone new and starting to feel infatuated by them. They want attention from that one person. They'll reorganize their life to be around them, making sure that they're available at any time to see them, trying to make things as friction-free as possible so this other person can show up in their life. And then there's some hiding of the obsession, maybe downplaying it with themselves or with other family members, knowing that they're hyper-focused but not wanting to share it, feeling shame because they're so attached to this other person and there's not a lot of reciprocity here. So the highs, the lows, the cravings, the secrecy and lying are indicators that there's an addictive quality here. Behavioral addictions like gaming, gambling, shopping don't involve an outside chemical, don't involve a drug. It's the emotional high itself that becomes addictive. The high levels of dopamine that are released in the brain when you're around someone you feel limerence for can be similar on an MRI to someone who's using cocaine, leading to cravings and need and pain when the person is not available. People report that limerence is a person-specific addiction. It's not about sex, like sex addiction. It's not about the beginning stages of a romance, like love addiction. It's specific to one person. The limerent other, they create this response in the limerent person. And they might not know it. They might not have any idea. It's more likely related to old issues that began in childhood. And for whatever reason, the limerent other can flip the switch and create this response. Their attention or approval triggers an intense biochemical response in the limerent person. And eventually, if that keeps happening, it creates dependency. If the limerent other is more wishy-washy, if they're kind of into it at one moment and then not, the limerent person will hang on, holding out toxic hope that something will happen, continually messaging their limerent other, not wanting to connect to other people, not wanting to let it go. And it can be very painful. I've known people that have held on to a limerent attraction for years, not weeks, not months, years, hoping that something would happen. And they need support. They need support in going no contact themselves, putting themselves first, to let go of this person addiction. They really need support. So what do? At the start, you want to acknowledge it. If the other person isn't interested, if they're sending mixed messages, if you're feeling a lot of pain, this relationship is not working for you. And then working with a therapist, working with trusted friends. You want to go no contact, or at the very least, limit contact. No contact is not always possible if you feel limerence towards someone you have a child with, or if you work with your limerent other. It might be very difficult to go no contact. It could be impossible. But then you want to go low contact and try to really pull back emotionally. And you might need to accept that friendship is not possible in these situations. There's too many triggers there. Friendship just can't happen. You need that emotional distance to heal. And then you want to watch out for enablers, people who sort of trigger your limerent attraction for this other person. Whether it's your limerent other themselves, if they're a little manipulative, or narcissistic, if they try and pull you back in, you want to be aware of that and set up boundaries. Or if they're friends who tell you, oh, we just thought you'd get back together. Friends that try and put you with your limerent other because they think they're doing the right thing. You want to watch out for that. That's too dangerous. Okay, and then really important, you want to live with purpose. You want to go out and have adventures. You want to invite in exciting things. You want to nourish yourself in whatever way possible. You want to take a big bite out of life, because that will help you to not focus on this other person as much. So whatever your interests are, taking pottery classes, taking dance classes, joining a running club, doing hikes, whatever you can do that you can get excited about, so the intrusive thoughts about this other person get a little quieter, you really want to do that. Going cold turkey on this person might not be possible. Like I said, you could share a child, you could work together. But setting up strong emotional and physical boundaries is crucial. Remember, limerence is not love. It's not an intense crush. It is a big deal, because I've seen people in the comments section say this is not a big deal. This is something that just happens to teenagers. But that's not the case. It can happen to anyone at any time. Limerence is an addiction to a specific person, and it might have never happened to you before in your life, but once you're dealing with it, it is hard, because it's fueled by dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, things that are happening right in your brain. Recognizing limerence, seeing that it's unhealthy, is the first step towards breaking free. You can reclaim your peace, your power, and your future. If this hit home for you, let me know in the comments below, because in the next video, we're going to talk about how to go low contact if you're feeling limerence towards somebody that you can't cut out of your life. Subscribe and let's keep moving forward together.